Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our live stream event where we're going to talk a little bit about the SOAR program and the SOAR experience. My name is Joe Morris. I'm a graduate of Missouri State University, and I currently run our Orientation and Transition Programs office. So we work a lot with orienting students to Missouri State University. We also help with other sorts of transition programs to help students make that transition from their high school experience into their college experience. So sometimes that transition can be a little shaky. So we're here to help through that process of making sure that you get into the institution and do well here. So I want to share a couple of things before we start today. First, this is my first live stream event. So I encourage y'all to ask questions. Hope that you are curious and receive a lot of good information from it. Go easy on me as I adapt to this new experience that we're going through. Also, I want to make sure that answer as many questions today as we can in our allotted time. If for some reason I happen to skip a question that you've asked, or your question gets pushed up before I can really read it and respond to it, go ahead and type that answer in again, and our wonderful staff who are serving as moderators on the live stream will help sort of alert me to those questions being asked. Also, we'll talk a little bit at the beginning about the SOAR program. And talk about some of the changes that we've experienced this year due to COVID-19. And we'll talk a little bit how we're adapting to that and provide you with some information there. So make sure that you ask away at any time. I may hold on to your question until we get to that point that we answer it. But we're going to try to inform you as much as we can about what's happening this summer. So to give you a little bit, I'm not going to share how long I've been, but these crow's feet can probably give away it's been a while. We'll talk a little bit about that. I want to share with you too that I am a graduate of Missouri State University. Love the institution dearly. It's given me a lot of great building of skills, a lot of great personal experiences, and some lifelong memories that I really enjoy. As a student, I was a orientation leader, or a SOAR leader, as we call them. So during your SOAR session, we'll work with other students who have been trained to be orientation leaders who will help you through the process of coming to Missouri State and give you some real student perspective of what it's like to be a student here at Missouri State. Let's talk a little bit about the sessions and how they're being this summer due to COVID-19. So when you were originally admitted, if you've been admitted for a while, you may have noticed that we talked originally about having 2-day orientation sessions during the months of June and July. Due to COVID and some of the recommendations of physically distancing from folks and having to pivot to help accommodate some of those new challenges, we have decided to offer 2 types of session formats. So the first is an on-campus experience that is 1 day in length. And you can sign up for one of those sessions now. Students can come to campus. Those sessions will be smaller in size than we typically have. We'll offer about 110 seats per students, or 4 students per session. We will allow students to bring 1 family member. Typically, we allow 2, but again, we're trying to conform to recommendations to make sure that we can keep sizes small and reduce the risk for those who are attending. So we do want to keep you safe and have you participate in the experience as much as you are comfortable with. But again, trying to keep people safe while we do that. We also are offering online SOAR sessions as well. So students can sign up to complete that. And if you're completing an orientation session as an online participant, you'll be sent some instructions to sort of an online course offered through our learning management system, which we call Blackboard. You may have experience at your orientation leaders and discuss things about coming into college. We'll talk about what that transition is like from going to high school to college. And you'll also meet with your academic advisor, and your advisor will provide you with some information on classes that you might want to take your first semester. And your orientation leaders will help you register for those classes. So by the end of your online orientation date, you should be registered for courses for the fall semester. So that's just a brief explanation of how those work. So I'm going to scroll back up. We've been getting lots of questions, so I'm going to make sure we cover all those. Megan Elizabeth says, I'm in Germany and I keep switching my SOAR because of canceled flights, etc. Is there a chance I can do online SOAR now? Of course, yes. You can go into your registration at any time on your personalized site and change your date. What you'll do is just unregister for and that will give you the option to sign up for another date. So you can do that and choose to go back in and choose an online SOAR session date. Frick Borson, he's coming, and I'm sorry if I slaughter your names in pronouncing them. International student coming from Norway, welcome to America. He says he's concerned that you'll get there in the fall and it will all be online. Our president has shared some information that there will be courses seated. Over 3,500 sections of classes will be seated this fall. We are offering a lot of online sections as well, but the majority of classes will be offered in person, seated on campus for the fall semester. Now, every instructor on campus has been asked to come up with a contingency plan so that, for example, if there is a second wave of the coronavirus and we need to adapt and return to an online environment, that can happen. But there will not be starting off completely online for the fall semester. He's also asked if it is online, will there be a deduction in price? I don't believe so. I believe that the same price that you're taking the course will continue on through the remainder of the semester. So just be aware of that. Caitlin, I'm sorry, was talking about what the online sessions are going to look like, what will we be doing. So we talked a little bit about that. In the Blackboard course, you're going to complete a series of modules. So you'll read through and watch some information that we provided. And we're going to talk about several areas. I think there's 6 modules total. We'll cover academics and the general education program here at Missouri State. We'll talk about why advising is so important and why you need to meet with your advisor regularly. We'll talk about how to register for classes online. So that's an important part that we'll walk you through. We'll talk a little bit about financial aid and financial services. So how do you look for financial aid opportunities? And when you do receive your bill for tuition and fees, We'll talk a little bit about student services that are available to students, our Office of Student Engagement. How do you get involved in things that will help you learn outside of the classroom? We'll talk dining services. Where will you eat and how will you eat? Those sorts of things that we'll discuss. We'll also, there will be a section called MSU, a community that cares. And in that section, we'll talk about the services and the support systems that we and healthy as well. So we'll talk about our health center on campus, our university safety office, and much more. We'll also provide you in our last module with some information about how to prepare for your online Zoom session experience. So we'll give you some details on how to do that as well. So it answers your question and many other folks. Dana writes, how do I, excuse me, I lost the feed here. Lots of questions. How would I go about taking the language placement exam? You'll pull up the information to do that. You can also search our website, MissouriState.edu/SOAR, and under the prepare for your session, we should have some links to the foreign language placement exam. And that way, we do encourage it to be completed before you attend SOAR, because we can use your placement scores to help place you into a proper language course during your session. So that way, if we have the information before, we can make that recommendation. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until the spring semester in order to register for a language class. And we don't generally recommend that because language skills tend to decrease if they're not being used regularly. So we really encourage folks to get started early on those. Sophia has asked, how do I sign up for SOAR? Great question. Easiest way to do that is to visit our website. We have instructions on how to do that. MissouriState.edu/SOAR/register.htm. Or you can just go to the SOAR homepage, which is MissouriState.edu/SOAR. And on the left-hand side of the page in the navigation menu, you'll see register for a SOAR session, and that'll give you all the details on how to do that. Emma Loader has asked, is there any way to sign up for classes before a SOAR session with the help of a counselor? Unfortunately, no. University policy to make sure that every student kind of gets that experience. So make sure that you get signed up, Emma, and we'll get you taken care of. Michelle, this Q&A should be being recorded right now, and it should be up on the to review at a different time. So if you're experiencing some issues, you should be able to see it at a different date. Dan has asked, Dan Loving, if SOAR happens before the AP scores are released, how is that handled with registration? That's a great question. Typically, and this is something we experience every summer, because typically AP scores aren't released until July. So more than half of our SOAR sessions are generally complete before we receive AP scores. Typically, Dan, what we will do is doing AP credit 4. And that way, if you do receive that credit at a later time, that'll be fine. You'll just move on. But if you don't end up receiving that credit, then you can take a course in a future semester to satisfy any requirements that you might have. So Dan, let me know if that answers your question or not. Brenda Cooper asks, when we attend SOAR, will we be required to wear a mask? It will not be required to wear a mask. We're currently not making that a requirement here at Missouri State at this time. Who knows what the future holds. But we will request that folks do. So if you have a mask that you're comfortable wearing, please bring it with you to SOAR if you're attending an on-campus session, and we will be happy to go through the session with you. Wearing SOAR and you don't have a mask, we'll be able to provide you one when you arrive. Janine has asked, will MSU notify serving as a moderator here to answer that question for me? I don't believe we sent out a notification that says to the parents and family members who are in the audience as well. We know that you're a big part of the transition experience for students coming through, so we really appreciate your help and involvement. Excuse me. Typically at SOAR, there's no payments that are due or financial things that are needed at that point. When students register for classes, the tuition and fees are applied to their student account, but the student's first payment is not due for that account until after the semester begins. It's typically around the 25th of the first 3 months of the semester. So you would not need any payments that would have to be made right then and there at the SOAR session. So typically those things are taken care of before. Their academic goals and what they're here to study at Missouri State. Don't worry if you don't know that for sure right now. I was undecided for quite some time before I finally committed to a particular major. And when you sit down with your advisor, they'll ask you some questions about, what are you interested in? What sort of career are you trying to pursue? What skills do you want to build? What are things that fascinate you learning about? And using all of that information, they're going to make some suggestions to you about what types of courses that you should take, and even kind of suggest here's the 5 or 6 that I would recommend. And leaders will then walk you through the process of building that schedule online and officially registering for those classes. So you'll get sort of some in making that registration process possible. So great 360-degree views of rooms on their Facebook page. So I would encourage you to check that out. If our administrators can post a link to that, that would be great. Sophia has asked, how do we know who or to get a hold of our advisor? So for your SOAR session, we will connect you with your academic advisor. So you'll meet with them during the session, and our advisors are typically assigned to a particular advising group. And we sort of bunch students together into similar advising groups. So let's say, for example, Sophia, you are an education major. You'll be placed in a group with other education majors, and to our moderators, I am seeing a message that says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. So if I could get some assistance on fixing that, it'd be great. Our apologies as we experience some technical issues. Sorry, we are searching for some help right now. We're in text communication with our friends from admissions. Okay. They're going to text me some of your questions. So we're going to try that. Thanks for holding with us while we experience some issues. Good question. I've been a gigantic way. We do place our honors SOAR sessions towards the beginning of the sequence of SOAR sessions because honor students will receive some benefits for being a member of the Honors College. One of those benefits is early registration before others in their sort of same classification group. So if you're an honors freshman student, you would register before other freshman students. So that's why we place those honor sessions towards the beginning of the SOAR session. And we typically have some information from our Honors College presented during that time. But unfortunately, we had to cut some time from the honors schedule. So they will be open and available to come and ask questions to if you have any. But there won't be any significant differences between the Honor SOAR and any of our other SOAR sessions. What time does the June 5th session start? Good question. All of our on-campus sessions will begin at 8 o'clock with check-in, and we'll run through until 8:45. So we do encourage folks to arrive a little early so we can get you checked in, and you'll have some time to settle and get comfortable before the session begins. What should you bring to an on-campus SOAR session? Good question. I'm going to pull up some information here from our website. Give me just a moment. I'm going to give you an accurate list of things to bring. A list of some things that we encourage folks to bring. If you tend to get cold easily, make sure you bring a light jacket or a sweater because sometimes the air conditioning in the rooms can be pretty strong during the summer. So going from the heat to the cold can recommend bringing an umbrella. Ozarks weather can be unpredictable, so sometimes we'll get a flash shower during the middle of the day. So we want you to be prepared for that. If you have not sent your high school or any college credit transcripts, just be comfortable and relaxed while they're here. If you've got a list of questions for your advisor or a list of questions that you would like to have answered, bring those with you too. That's very important that you are able to get your questions answered at SOAR, that you can ask your advisor things like, well, I'm trying to decide between two majors. I like this major because of this reason, and I like this other major for a different reason. What would you recommend that I choose?